Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great Sunday. Sorry I couldn't be there. I'm at Districts with all your kids, so I'm having a great time, and we'll see you guys later.
So my faith story. Starts like most people's do at a really young age. Even before I can remember, my parents got divorced and my mom remarried, and so there was never really a time where my stepfather wasn't there. But nonetheless, I still knew somehow. I knew that he wasn't my real dad, and I was really rebellious because of that. And then came high school, and I went to a public school, and I really just felt like the shackles were off, and I ran with it. I got into the wrong group of friends. I started drinking at a young age. When it came to my senior year in high school, a series of events happened that sent me on a bad trajectory, really a very scary and painful one, even as I think about it to this day. And my stepmom passed away, and my cousin and a friend passed away all within a year. And I didn't know the Lord at that time, so I really just clung to what I did know, and that was escaping with partying and drinking. And after a couple years in college, I got into some more trouble, and I was feeling like I didn't really know what I wanted from life. So I took some time, and I went and moved back in with my parents and left college. And I thought that I could just run away from my problems. I felt like my problems were at college with my friends, and if I moved away from my friends, went back home, things would get better. And so I spent a year and a half home with my parents, and things, as I'm sure most of you know, they didn't get better because you can't run from your problems. And so my problems just transferred with me back home. And I got in a little bit more trouble while I was back home with my parents, and I said, okay, this is it. I'm now realizing it's on me, that my problems are my problems. And so I decided I needed to make some changes in life. I went back to the same college I was at, UW Oshkosh, to continue my degree, which never changed. I have a degree in environmental science. And it's over that course of 2 years where my life just drastically changed. I went on a study abroad trip to Belize, where I started to question the possibility of, is God real? And I was just really flabbergasted that I could be in a different country, in a different part of the world, and the people there believed in Jesus, believed in the same God that my sister and other people that I knew believed in Jesus. And that was really when I started to explore for myself, is Jesus real? Is God real? And so I would read some resources, I would listen to some worship music, and I'd always feel okay, there's something here, something's going on here, and I need to do more. But I was also wrestling with this old me of that's not fun, I don't really want to do that. And so I would be in this constant battle and tussle. In my second year back in college, I went on another trip. This was part of the National Student Exchange Program with the University of Idaho. I was in the middle of the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness, living at a research station as part of this National Student Exchange Program. And I decided to go on a solo overnight backpacking trip. It's going to lay out under the stars, and it's going to be awesome. And as I was climbing this mountain, just before I reached the peak, I realized that it was clouded out, and it started to rain, it started to snow, and I started to panic. And so I was like, I need to get out of here. If I just go back down the mountain, I'll be able to find my way back to the research station, which is where we were living. And on my way down, I got lost. I got lost on my way down, and at a certain point, I've been slipping and falling left and right as the snow and rain continued. And before I knew it, I was on a cliff, and there was wet and loose rock all around me. And so I'm really at this point where I had no option but to just stop and wait for the storm to pass and for the sun to rise so that I could find out where I was and how to get home. It's the Rocky Mountains, so there's mountain lions, there's wolves, there's all these predators out here too, and I was really afraid. September 7th, 2016 at 12:35 in the morning, that was the moment where I called out to God, and that was the moment where I said, God, if you're real, I need you now. Like, I need your comfort. I really, it's hard to explain. A presence swept over me, and I just instantly felt embraced and warm and comforted, and I began to cry, and that was the moment I knew that my life would never be the same. God saw me. I'm in the middle of the wilderness. Like, there wasn't a road for 30 miles all the way around me, and yet God saw me. He knew where I was. He knew the fear that ran through my veins, and He comforted me. And that was the moment that I knew I had no other option but to live my life for Jesus. Like, my life changed in that very instant because God saw me, and He knew me, and He knew that I needed Him. So sun rose in the morning, and I realized where I was and how to get home. Being that I lived at the research station, there was no cell service or computers or anything like that. So I wrote a letter to my sister, who, her and her husband, they work for Cru and had kind of always lovingly witnessed to me. And I said, Jen, I had this experience on the mountain. I told her about it, and I said, I believe in Jesus. Like, I believe He's real. Can you send me a book about Jesus? Please don't send me the Bible. I'm not interested in reading that. It's kind of boring. I want like just a book that I can read. And she sent me the Bible, and she told me to read the book of John, which I burned through in the heartbeat. And by the time I left the program in November, I had read most of the New Testament and was just like gung-ho about my life for Christ. I started going to church and got baptized. And that following summer, I decided when I graduated to not pursue a career in environmental science, but that I wanted to work at a church camp. And it was when I worked at the church camp that God just set me on fire for students. I actually met my wife there, which was such a blessing, and so glad that I worked there. It really was the opportunity for me to share my personal testimony for the first time, and I saw how that testimony changed students' lives for Jesus. And since then, I've just really tried to make sure that I'm taking the appropriate steps to learn and grow in my faith, so that my faith is rock solid, so that I can share my faith with students. And so just a few short years later, I really have felt like God has prepared me enough to move into this position here at RCC as a student pastor, and to help the students here know who Jesus is, know that Jesus loves them, and that we love them, and to grow in their relationship so that they can share their faith and their relationship with other students around them and for the rest of their lives as well. So that's my faith story. I hope you enjoyed it. I always love sharing my faith story because I believe that God gives us all a testimony to share, and it's all about God. It's not about who I am or what I've done, but it's about what God's done in me and through me. So God bless.